And the man who signed that fantastic class for Ohio State joins us now, the head coach of the Buckeyes, Jim Tressel, at our studio in Columbus. Coach, first of all, congratulations on a great class. It's being called by some the best class in the country. What does that say to you about Ohio State?
Well, it's really my staff that did most of the work to sign this class. And, it just reminds us that Ohio State is a great place and very attractive to a lot of young people. This is a real special class, I believe. A lot of outstanding students, a lot of outstanding football players, guys that made many early decisions that this was the place they wanted to go, and guys that are interested in competition, because there's going to be battles at a lot of positions with our returning players plus some of these incoming players, and just a special group.
I want to go through a few of the positions where there are some obvious needs, and I think wide receiver is one for you where there is. Obviously, you lose Hartline and Robisky, who have been so good for you, off to the NFL. There is a good crew of receivers that you've signed here. Which of these guys do you think might be able to step up and make an impact right away?
That's the interesting thing about receiver. Sometimes they step up a lot earlier than you think they might. Probably the name that most people would have the most notice of would be Duron Carter, simply because his dad, Chris Carter, was one of the great receivers in the history of the NFL and the history of Ohio State. And Duron played on that great team at St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale. And he's an outstanding young guy, real long, goes up for the ball, good body control. James Jackson is a guy that a youngster out of Michigan that we think that has a lot of burst and so forth. A young guy named Corey Brown, who I think could help us either at the receiver spot or the corner spot, that we think is going to be a darn good player. And the neat thing about this class is there's some people on the O-line, D-line, and on the corners, receivers, that we think could help us either side of the ball.
You mentioned the cornerback position, and kind of the same question there. You lose Donald Washington to the NFL. This is a group, again, I saw 4 corners on your list initially. Which of that group might be able to step in there and help you guys out?
Well, one of the young guys that gets to come early is C.J. Barnett. And a lot of times, in order to help yourself get in the lineup, it's good to get those spring practice reps. He's a young guy that will get those opportunities as he comes in. There's a youngster from right here in Central Ohio, Pickerington High School, Jamie Wood, that we have penciled in at the safety. But you never know. We've recruited some guys at safeties, and they've ended up all Big Ten corners and vice versa. And Corey Brown, as I mentioned, is a young guy that could go either way from over at Gateway High School in Pennsylvania. So I think a lot of skilled, a lot of versatile guys, a lot of guys that played both ways while they're in high school.
Coach, this time last year we were all sitting around waiting for Terrell Pryor, and of course he didn't sign until after signing day. You guys obviously won that huge Terrell Pryor sweepstakes, and now he's entrenched as your starting quarterback. In a weird sort of way, has that made it more difficult now for you guys to recruit quarterbacks because you've got a guy there that's so young and so good?
It really is, and because he's young, we certainly weren't going to be able to recruit multiple quarterbacks, even though we only have 2 scholarship quarterbacks on the team. So we've kind of rolled the dice and only signed 1 quarterback today, Kenny Guyton, a young man out of Houston Eisenhower High School, a guy that played on a very talented team. I think 2 of his receivers, one went to Oklahoma, the other went to Texas. So, he's played with some great guys. And we really told guys that were looking at us at quarterback that you're going to get a lot of reps because there's only 3 guys here on scholarship. But it did make it hard to get ourselves back to a full complement of having 4 quarterbacks.
Well, Jim Tressel, head coach of the Buckeyes, I would assume a lot of people in the country would be happy to have that problem of having to find someone to back up Terrell Pryor. Fantastic job, as always. Congratulations on a great class, and thanks for taking the time out.
Thanks so much for having us on.